space and grace for the fact that it can be difficult to figure out how to address this topic when there is so much nastiness involved in it. The biggest storyline in the WNBA this year, amongst other very big storylines, but she still, in terms of mainstream, is the most important thing.
Did Elle Duncan just set fire to her own career? Her attempt to defend Sherly Swoops' comments about Caitlin-Clark has backfired big time. Fans are fuming and the sports world is in chaos. What exactly did Duncan say that's got everyone so worked up? Just when you thought this couldn't get any more heated, Elle Duncan drops a bombshell. She's comparing Caitlin-Clark to one of the most infamous villains in literary history. Why would a respected sports commentator make such a bold claim? Enter Elle Duncan, ESPN's firebrand, stepping into the fray with a take that's about to turn heads and raise eyebrows. On her podcast, Duncan tackles the Swoops-Clark controversy head-on, but her approach is anything but conventional. Duncan kicks things off by acknowledging the elephant in the room, discussing Caitlin-Clark has become a minefield for sports commentators. She points out that not all criticism aimed at Clark should be automatically labeled as hate. It's a nuanced take that's bound to ruffle some feathers. But here's where things get really wild. Duncan drops a comparison that's sure to set tongues wagging. She likens talking about Caitlin-Clark to mentioning Voldemort from Harry Potter. That's right, folks. She's comparing one of basketball's brightest young stars to the Dark Lord himself.
People in the media, Caitlin-Clark has become such a lightning rod that in many ways, I'm going to liken it to sort of Voldemort and Harry Potter.
Oh, nice.
Now, before you grab your pitchforks, let's break down what Duncan means. She's not calling Clark evil or saying she's out to destroy the wizarding world. Instead, Duncan's using this analogy to illustrate how Clark has become a lightning rod topic in sports media.
Is such a lightning rod topic that it can be hard to figure out how you're going to navigate it, and some people.
According to Duncan, mentioning Clark's name is like casting a spell that summons a storm of reactions. Praise her and you're accused of pandering. Criticize her and you're branded a hater. It's a lose-lose situation that's creating a toxic environment for honest discussion. This Voldemort comparison might seem over the top, but it's Duncan's way of highlighting the absurdity of the situation. She's pointing out how a talented young player has inadvertently become the center of a media circus, where every word about her is dissected and debated. But Duncan doesn't stop there. She dives deeper into the challenges faced by sports commentators in this Clark-centric landscape. The fear of backlash has created a chilling effect, where analysts are walking on eggshells whenever Clark's name comes up. This isn't just about Clark, though. Duncan's words shine a spotlight on a broader issue in sports media. How do we foster genuine, critical discussions about athletes without descending into personal attacks or blind worship?
Space and grace for the fact that it can be difficult to figure out how to address this topic when there is so much nastiness involved in it. Appeal to her and that you're trying to appeal to her fan base. If you say anything critical, you're a hater. And
Duncan's defense of Swoops opened Pandora's box. Suddenly, it wasn't just about one player or one comment anymore. The entire sports media landscape was under scrutiny. What did Duncan say that turned a controversy into an all-out war? Elle Duncan's words on her podcast were meant to provide context and nuance to the Swoops-Clark situation. Instead, they sparked a firestorm that's raging across social media and sports forums. Fans and commentators alike are dissecting every word, trying to figure out if Duncan's explanation holds water or if it's just another attempt to downplay criticism of a rising star. Here's the thing, Duncan's attempt to explain the complexities of covering Caitlin-Clark has backfired spectacularly. Many fans interpreted her words as an excuse for Swoops' perceived negativity. It's like she tried to put out a fire with gasoline, and now the whole sports world is ablaze with debate. Duncan said, "If you are very complimentary to Caitlin-Clark, there's a function of the population that thinks that you're being mandated to say it. If you say anything critical, you're a hater." She was trying to highlight the catch-22 that commentators face when talking about Clark. But for many listeners, this came across as justifying Swoops' controversial comments. The backlash was swift and intense. Social media exploded with reactions, ranging from support for Duncan's nuanced take to accusations of her enabling negativity towards a young athlete. It's like the sports world is playing a giant game of telephone, with Duncan's words getting twisted and misinterpreted with each retweet and share. But this isn't just about Duncan or Swoops or even Clark anymore. This controversy has shown a spotlight on the broader challenges facing sports media today. How do you cover a rising star like Clark without seeming biased or pandering? It's a tightrope walk that even the most experienced commentators are struggling with. ESPN, as the biggest name in sports media, is feeling the heat from all sides. They're caught between wanting to celebrate new talent and maintaining journalistic integrity. It's a balancing act that's becoming increasingly difficult in the age of social media and instant reactions. The Clark situation has become a litmus test for how we talk about athletes, especially female athletes in traditionally male-dominated sports. Every comment, every analysis, every bit of praise or criticism is scrutinized under a microscope. It's creating an environment where honest, nuanced discussion feels almost impossible. Duncan's revelation about the staggering engagement on Clark-related content is eye-opening. Over 700 comments on a single episode discussing Clark's MVP candidacy. That's not just engagement, that's obsession. It shows just how divided and passionate fans are about this topic. This level of engagement is a double-edged sword for sports media. On one hand, it's great for ratings and clicks. On the other, it creates an atmosphere where every word about Clark becomes potential ammunition in an ongoing war of opinions. Lost in all the noise about Clark is a question that's been simmering for years. Why does discussing women's basketball feel like walking through a minefield? The answer might surprise you, and it's got nothing to do with jump shots or stats. This Caitlin Clark controversy isn't just about one player or one comment. It's shining a spotlight on the entire landscape of women's basketball. You might be wondering, how did we get here? How has one rookie managed to stir up so much drama? Here's the thing, Clark's sudden rise to fame has exposed some deep-rooted issues in women's sports. It's like she's become a human magnifying glass, making everyone take a closer look at how we talk about female athletes.
Really difficult to figure out how to capture and talk about some of these conversations because the vitriol just follows.
Think about it. When was the last time a women's basketball player got this much attention? Clark's not just breaking records on the court, she's breaking the mold of how we cover women's sports. But with all eyes on her, every word said about Clark is under the microscope.
You know, are very complimentary to Caitlin Clark. There's a function of the population that thinks that you're being mandated to say it and that you're trying to be safe. The biggest storyline in the WNBA this year, amongst other very big storylines, but she still, in terms of mainstream, is the most important thing.
Elle Duncan hit the nail on the head when she said Clark has become a lightning rod in the WNBA. It's like Clark's very name is a spell that summons storms of debate. Praise her and you're pandering. Criticize her and you're a hater. There's no middle ground. But wait, there's more to this story. Duncan's comments reveal a bigger problem. She said, at the top of a pyramid, you're exposed from all angles. This isn't just about Clark. It's about the intense pressure female athletes and commentators face in a male-dominated sports world. You might be thinking, why don't people just avoid talking about Clark altogether? Well, some are doing just that. Duncan pointed out that some folks are choosing to steer clear of Clark discussions entirely. But is that really the solution, or is it just sweeping the problem under the rug? Let's zoom out for a second. This whole mess is exposing how female athletes are portrayed in sports media. It's like they're walking a tightrope. One wrong move, one misinterpreted comment, and boom, social media explodes. Remember when Duncan said, "This is not your typical debate"? She's right. The Clark situation is unlike anything we've seen before. It's forcing us to rethink how we talk about women's sports. Are we ready for that conversation? Here's where things get really interesting. Clark has become the biggest storyline in the WNBA, drawing attention like never before. But at what cost? Are we so busy arguing about how to talk about her that we're forgetting to appreciate her game? This controversy is like a mirror, reflecting the challenges women face in sports. It's not just about playing well anymore. Female athletes have to navigate a minefield of public opinion, where every word can be twisted and every action scrutinized.